Ready to go?
Okay, we'll call this meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well,
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
welcome, everybody.
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Thank you all for coming. Okay, can I get approval of the county board minutes that were sent to you?
So moved.
Second.
Just a who?
Mike.
Mike Lemire made first and Randy seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? If none, could I get a motion?
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Jelinski, seconded by Commissioner Blaine. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Is there anybody here from the Lake Improvement District yet? Okay. Is there,
Anybody
why
from
don't you call the
Extension?
sheriff and see
I
if-
just texted him,
Okay.
yep.
Extension report, it doesn't look like anybody's here for that. And maybe there won't be,
We have
We have the-
the information.
all the
sent.
information, so if they don't come.
Good point,
then-
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, if they don't come, it was just the information that was in our packets. So next is sheriff's report, so I think we'll wait here a couple minutes. You text him that he's coming. He thought he'd be a little bit later
Maybe,
for this.
maybe I'll give him a call quick.
Okay, see if he's here. Otherwise, we're to social service.
My people aren't here either.
Okay.
Boy, Mr. Chair, you're moving right along.
We'll be done by 9:30.
Oh, yeah. About 9:10.
Usually the lakes are here right away, but we can't approve the lake thing without them presenting. And we got good stuff in
I
our
don't think they have to be here. I think they have to be here. Their annual report
annual report.
and budget, I think.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, I'm trying to remember if the budget is part of their,
I don't think it'll matter.
okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, Sean is on his way. Is Chelsea still in here? No.
He hasn't been here yet. Okay, well, we're just waiting. Sheriff will be down in a second, and we'll do the sheriff's report when he gets here.
I can do one social service item that's in the board packet, if I may.
Sure.
So in the board packet is a request to fill a children's mental health position. It's a replacement. We lost a staff to another provider. He's gonna be a supervisor for another provider in the community. And so requesting to fill that particular position. Children's mental health works with those kids who have mental health issues. Caseloads are generally 20, and all of our current children's mental health case managers have full caseloads, including him. So requesting to replace that children's mental health case manager.
Make a motion to approve, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Lemire, seconded by Commissioner Blaine. Is there any further discussions on that? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Good morning, Sean.
Morning, Sheriff.
Morning, Sheriff.
We're just running ahead of schedule. We thank
Sure.
you for coming down.
Absolutely. So we'll start off monthly report, September of 2021. Going through the pictures, we had Coffee with a Cop on October 6th. This was at the Cass Gilbert Depot, Little Falls Area Chamber of Commerce. Pretty successful event. We had 25 different, I guess it would be samples of evidence that we brought in to give the public kind of a look at what we're seeing on the street, what has been seized. The evidence also included like purchase prices and what the weights were. So a lot of good interaction with the community members that showed up there. The next picture you'll see, this was taken at the 39th Annual Jail Administrator Conference. There you go. Scott McKissick was given the Jail Administrator given an award for Jail Administrator of the Year, and that was back on September 16th at Cragun's. We move on. For training, we had 22 officers attend less lethal impact munitions training. So basically, we're using marking rounds and different less lethal things that we annually qualify on. So just going through that. We also did some traffic stops with we call it force-on-force scenarios, where we're using less lethal rounds. And just going through traffic stops, how to interact, and just making sure all our staff is comfortable and going through the different use of force options. If you look at our criminal complaints, we had 86. I'll just highlight what we're seeing the most of. If you look at the 3 o'clock position, which is the orange pie shape, we had 17 disturbing the peace. To break that down, we had 5 of them were stalking, 7 public nuisance, and 5 harassing communication complaints. If you look at the, I guess it'd be the 6 o'clock position, the green, labeled 13%, that was damage to property. We had 11 incidents for damage to property. 9 of them were on private property, 2 public property. Then if you look at the 9 o'clock position, which is the blue 19%, we had 16 thefts. 6 of them were a building, or from a building/yard, 6 gas drive-offs, 3 thefts from a vehicle, and 1 theft from a person. And then going up to the 11 o'clock position, the green pie shape, 8%, we had 7 vehicle thefts, 4 trucks, 2 autos, and 1 ATV. So just before I came down, I just ran a report on the vehicle thefts. 4 of those have been recovered. So sometimes the numbers get high, but obviously sometimes during the investigation, we're able to recover some of these as well. So that's the criminal complaints. If we move on to the traffic citations, you notice the month of September, we had 185 traffic citations. 17 of those were written warnings. 23 were speed citations. And then, of course, we had 123 verbal warnings. If you look at our 2-year comparison, our total complaints did go up a little bit. Our criminal complaints went down. Non-criminal went up. Civil process pretty much stayed the same. Drug investigations did go down a little bit. I looked into it, and our investigators were basically, they took vacation. It was either take it or lose it. But they were also at more presentations this last month than prior, so that had a little bit to do with it as well. Our total inmates went down a little bit. I kind of looked into that as well. Last year, if you remember, we were, even because if it was COVID, we were still able to bring in some inmates from Itasca. They were tested prior to being shipped over to Morrison County. So we did have some inmates from Itasca last year that brought our numbers up last year compared to this year. So if we go to the inmate page, you'll see that Morrison County, we averaged 25 inmates. We did average 3 from Beltrami County, which brought our population average up to 28. And then out-of-county inmates, we had 1, and the revenue from out-of-county inmates is $1,705. So with that, I'll open it up if there's any questions.
Does anybody got any questions? Sheriff? Doesn't look like it. We thank
Okay.
you very much for your report, unless you've got something else you
I
want to say.
do have something else. Well, Tabitha gave you the form, but it's a resolution authorizing Morrison County to execute an agreement with the Office of Traffic Safety for our TZD grant. The effective dates will be October 1st, 2021. It goes through September 30th, 2022. The grant is the amount of $12,050. Morrison County will be the fiscal agent, just like years past. Basically, we're focusing on distracted driving, DWI, speed, seatbelt, and the move over law. We'll also be participating with the small town PDs, which will be Motley PD, Little Falls PD, Pierce PD, as well as Royalton PD. We do work with the State Patrol, but the State Patrol will apply with their own grant as well, which will cover the same dates. So I would need the resolution signed, which just gives me the authorization to execute the agreement and the grant.
I'll
Make a
move
mo-
on this, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Jelinski, seconded by Commissioner Lemire. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
That's all I have. Have a
Thank you,
great day.
Sheriff.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thanks, John.
Good day.
Thank you.
Okay, next we'll go back up to Lake Alley Improvement District. I see you're here, so you got to go up to his still.
Guess you spotted my red T-shirt.
Spread of a gutted species. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning. Appreciate being able to speak with you today and present our budget. I just wanted to start out a little bit with the information. I'm Ron Weber. I'm the treasurer of the Lake Alexander Lake Improvement District. And I'm just going to start out by giving a little background that I had just received from the University of Minnesota on a survey that they had done. They talk about the impact of aquatic invasive species on water quality. Generally, they decrease the water quality, although the zebra mussels have been known to kind of clean up the lake. We do have zebra mussels on Lake Alexander. They impact the recreation, fishing, beach swimming. They also impact infrastructure because they get onto the pipes, they get onto the equipment that is in the water, and these zebra mussels are very prolific. They've gotten to the point that they're just about on everything that's in the water on Lake Alex. They also impact the native habitat, displacing other wildlife. So we're looking at a three-legged stool when it comes to management of aquatic species, prevention, control, and containment. The Lake Alexander Lake Improvement District is primarily involved in control. So with that, I'd like to talk about our budget. There is the correction on there when I'm comparing July 20 of 2020 to July 23rd of 21, about a year apart. So you can see that in 2020 we had about cash on hand a little over 180,000, and this last July $189,000. Our projected ending budget balance for 2020 was 12, almost 13,000 virtually, and we're estimating by the end of this year that we would be at about 18,590. Right now, we have not had the bog expense that we were anticipating, primarily because of the low water conditions. Talking to our bog expert, Bill Faber has told us that a lot of the bogs seem to have taken root, and hopefully they would stay rooted, and when the high water or water returns to its normal level, they won't start floating away. But we do budget for bog disposal. So the reason I'm here today primarily is to get your approval on the lid assessment of $75 per riparian owner. That's the same amount that we had last year. We have 480 property owners, so that would bring in about $36,000, which would bring our bank balance up to $54,000 on the checking account. There's our anticipated expenses. We have a subtotal for miscellaneous type of items, not necessarily directly related to weed control, but bogs and other administrative items, about 13,000, almost 14. And then we have our weed control budget. With Eurasian water milfoil, it was July was hard to tell because we hadn't had our survey done. I had estimated 10 acres. We ended up with 26.5 acres. So that cost us about $14,000 in weed treatment for Eurasian water milfoil. On curly leaf pondweed, In the spring, we treated 20.5 acres, and in total, we actually spent about $46,822, so a little bit more than what we had budgeted there. In total, we're looking with the $75 assessments, which we're asking for your approval today, we would have an ending checking account balance of $1,400, which is significantly less than what we, started the year. And we have been working our budget, our reserves down, we have, our projected expenses are $53,000. You divide that into 480 owners, and we should be assessing 110 to stay even, but we're asking for 75.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve their work plan, budget, and levy.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Lemire, seconded by Commissioner Blaine. Is there any further discussions?
Mr. Chair, I would just have one question.
Commissioner Jelinski.
There's 480 property owners,
Yes.
if I understood that right. You obviously had an annual meeting where you discussed this. About how many members were?
There's about 100
Okay.
attend our annual meeting. We usually do it the weekend after July 4th, but with COVID, we pushed it out till August.
And
We still had good attendance.
And do you do your voting in person, or do you do that by mail, or how is that done?
They're mailed ballots,
Okay,
and they can either bring them in or send them by mail.
so all of the property owners were able to vote?
Yes, correct. Thanks for asking that question. I failed to point that out.
No, that's fine, not a problem, thank you.
Commissioner Blaine?
And Mr. Chair, just wanted to ask Ron, you had noted the low water levels, with the drought this year, but now we've gotten significant amount of fall rains here again. Water level at the lake, has that returned somewhat?
Not even measurably. You would think that it would have gone up, but it seems that it just keeps dropping.
Okay.
All right, any other questions? If not, I want to thank you for the good presentation that you always bring us and the good job you guys are doing up there. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Ron.
Thanks, Ron.
Okay, next we'll go back up to extension report. I see you just came in. Yep.
Good morning, Dina.
Good morning.
I cut it unintentionally close.
Good morning.
No problem.
It is lovely to be able to speak with you all face to face this morning. I haven't. I've joined via teleconference, which isn't quite the same as being face to face. So I am very pleased to be here this morning. I wanted to. The reason I made a pointed effort to be here today is because I wanted to share one of the successful programs that we recently had. Recently being September 1st, so a little bit of time has passed. But I made several reports that were circulated by the Morrison County Record about the program because I was so pleased with the involvement by the Mississippi Valley Cattlemen and by the involvement of the the University of Minnesota beef team. So we had 5 members from the Minnesota beef team. We had a specialist from way up north, cow-calf, as well as Troy Salzer, who was in a very strongly hit area for the drought, St. Louis County. So he was able to share both his historical experiences, his experiences past summer, preparing our beef producers for drought. So Dr. Mosel presented on what to do when reevaluating your herd, as in who should stay and who should go, because we all have to make those very difficult decisions about who are the core members of your beef herd who are going to stay and who should go on the truck, as well as Troy Zalser talked about what type of cover crops and crops could be planted now to act as a forage going into winter for your beef herd. So evaluating your herd as well as strategies to manage forage going into winter. So these are very valuable tools for our beef producers. We had 84 members there, which is, according to them, a very, very strong turnout, lots of engagement. I was very happy to have those interactions, to talk to producers, members of industry, and show them both myself as well as members of the beef team. So these are the resources that we have available to you. Engage with us, have us out to your farm, and on top of that, we had a great meal. We were able to see Clint Catherine's facility, see the remarkable amount of cement and infrastructure he put into it. So it was a wonderful demonstration of what Morrison County has to offer, how we're doing beef production right. So I was very happy with that program, and I talked about it for a little bit in the Morrison County Record in those publications, just celebrating their activity. I also wanted to share with you that I have several programs. Well, I have a program coming up November 10th and 16th. I would love to share that with you, the actual flyer, and it's on financial stability. So this is a tool that's available to any agricultural professional, so beef producers, dairy, livestock, crops, what have you, but it's all about understanding your farm finances better, and that'll be offered at the Little Falls Chamber of Commerce, and it's 2 sessions, 2 hours apiece, that are an opportunity to engage the state specialists, hosted by our extension, and I'm looking forward to providing that education to our producers here in Morrison County, Benton, whoever's interested in engaging for that program. So that's what I was interested in sharing with you commissioners. Did anyone have any questions for me?
Does anybody have any? Commissioner Blaine?
Good morning, Dana.
Good morning.
And thank you for your aggressive approach with extension in serving the producers here in Morrison County. The only question I had for you in your upcoming farm financial seminars there, are you having any of our local lenders be a part of that discussion there? And just curious on their input to producers going forward here too.
I don't have a current list, so if you have any that you would like to share with me, I would love to circulate that flyer with them. Maybe reach out to the lendees and use them both as a speaker, but also to broaden the reach of this program. So I don't have a current working list, but I would love to circulate that information if you have some resources to direct me towards.
I'll reach out. I'll reach out to you after the meeting today or shortly, and we'll chat about that.
I think that'd be a wonderful addition.
Super. Thank you.
Say, Dana, could you just make sure and get that flyer to Tabitha so we can post it as
You
well?
got it, Tabitha.
Thank you.
Commissioner Winchard?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Dana, I know volunteers are kind of hard to get in any concept as far as, whether it's for extension or for taking people to veterans to appointments. How does one, I see you have a meeting coming up in November. How does one contact you if they want to become a volunteer for extension?
Oh, that'd be wonderful. You can send me an email at adam1744@umn.edu, or you can call my cell, 320-204-2968. Either one of those will get a rapid response. Cell phone, I'm going to get back to you within the day, and email probably within 1 to 2 days
When
max.
you bring up, given your information, what you get a short version is, what do they expect when they come and volunteer?
Well, there's lots of ways that we can engage our volunteers. Assistance with program. Also, it is always important to do needs assessments to gauge what are you hearing in the community, what struggles are you dealing with as a producer. So there's lots of opportunities to both disseminate information as well as engage as to what are the needs within our community, networks that you work with that I could engage with in order to find out struggles that our livestock producers are facing. So that's what I would anticipate being the beginning of the relationship with Volunteer. And then maybe we could mimic something similar to the Stearns County Dairy Advisory Committee, which meets quarterly to talk about resources that dairy producers could use, ways that we can engage the community. And I'm trying to kind of nudge them more towards civic action. So if you like engaging our local legislators with the issues that they face, so starting those dialogues. So that volunteer could be the seed for that relationship, for that movement, for that community engagement.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody have anything else? Otherwise, we thank you very much for coming and telling us what's going on.
You bet. Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you.
Again.
Okay, next we got social service report.
Karen Sidrowski is going to come up and do a report on fraud. As we know, integrity is an important element in our financial assistance program, and we work with multi-county fraud investigator to provide those services. And so Karen's going to share a little information on fraud.
Morning,
Welcome,
Karen.
Good morning, everyone. Okay, as Brad said, our fraud investigator is Andrew Tonis, and we share him with Benton, Mille Lacs, and Sherburne County.
I just make one other comment too. This is a program that's paid for by the state, so there is no cost to Morrison County for this particular staff person, or Benton, or Mille Lacs.
He's actually housed out of Benton County. So, looking at the fraud report, you can see the money's not issued due to fraud prevention. The fraud prevention is at the front end. If we get an application and we feel something just doesn't feel right, doesn't look right, they may say they're paying rent of $1,000 and have no income coming in. We'll make a fraud referral before we approve the application. So those are the monies we save prior to putting someone on. Overpayments are when someone has been put on assistance, but either someone calls, reports that there's fraud, or we find something that we didn't see at application time. And then we make a fraud referral, and then it results in overpayments. Morrison County, over the last year, you can see fraud prevention was $42,000, and overpayments were $25,000. Now, this is even during the waivers, when clients did not have to report any changes on cash assistance. So it's gone down, but during the waivers, that's actually quite good. And then fraud referrals by type. The TANF cash is Minnesota Family Investment Program and Diversionary Work Program. Morrison County, we had 9. SNAP is Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program. Federal Medical, Child Care. Other state programs would be like Minnesota Supplemental Assistance Program, General Assistance. And then the total referrals. The average monthly referrals in Morrison County is 7 a month. And then we go on to criminal cases. Criminal cases, Morrison County had none. Benton had 1 and Sherburne had 3. Any questions on?
Anybody have any? Commissioner Jelinski.
Mr. Chair, I wonder if we can go back to the first slide.
We
Karen,
sure
I
can.
just have a quick question for you. I'm sure it's a quick answer. But $42,000 was not issued pre-fraud, call it whatever you want.
Correct, prevention.
But what about $25,970 of overpayment? Can you kind of help me out with overpayment?
Overpayment, okay, I'll use an example on a case. This happened just recently. Client completed an application, reported no income. Okay. We found out that they started receiving Social Security 6 months prior. So we made the fraud referral. He gets the verification for us. We do the overpayments. Okay, they were getting like $1,400 a month and reported 0.
Okay.
So they had a nice chunk of overpayments.
That's where that number comes from?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much.
And there's
You're
no
welcome.
criminal charges, but we will collect that.
We
through
will,
other
yeah.
means, so.
It gets turned over to claims and collections.
Excellent, thank you.
Does anybody have any other questions for Karen? If
Yeah,
not-
Mille Lacs had pretty high. They were doing a lot of their METS cases, is what we were told.
So they're medical assistance cases.
Right, yep.
So we thank you very much for the information.
You're welcome, thank you.
Karen.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next we got public health report.
So I see Cindy and Melissa are here. They're gonna come up and share one of the more important programs we do. And as we know, car seat safety is important to ensure that our little ones are safe when we're traveling. And there's been a lot of car accidents this year, a lot of publicity around car accidents. And so Melissa and Cindy are gonna share just a little bit about what we do here at Morrison County.
Good
Welcome.
morning.
Morning.
Good morning. So I'm Melissa Harris. I'm a registered nurse and the child passenger safety technician here at Public Health. Just gonna talk to you about the car seat program like Brad said. So according to the U.S. Department of Transportation, 3 out of 4 car seats are installed incorrectly. So 75% of our car seats out there are installed incorrectly. And traffic crashes are the leading cause of death in children. Most of these deaths are preventable. Car seats, child restraints do reduce the risk of injury by 71 to 82% and reduce the risk of death by 28% when compared to use of seatbelts alone. So the goal of our car seat program is first and foremost to provide education. We provide education to parents, grandparents, local ECFE groups, TCC, the bus companies. We also get calls from family members or people out in the community just asking for information when their child should change to the next car seat, that type of thing. And then the other important thing we do is we provide good quality seats to those that are in need. Next slide. So in order to become a child passenger safety technician, I attended a 3-day course over in Alexandria. This certificate is renewed every 2 years, and we have certain CEUs and classes that we have to attend in order to maintain that certificate. So on average, we distribute about 70 car seats each year through our health plans and grant program. So as you can see, in 2018, we had a higher than average year. We distributed about 91 seats. In 2019, it was just a little bit above average at 76 seats. And then last year with COVID and us being shut down and different things, we had 37 seats through UCare, 7 seats through Blue Plus, and 1 grant car seat. So this year, actually, my numbers are a little bit higher since I submitted this slide presentation. We're up to 41 seats through UCare, 9 through Blue Plus, and 2 grant car seats. So we've beat last year, so that was the goal for sure, and then we're continuing to try to get those numbers up there. So like I said, we have the different funding sources, the health insurance plans, Blue Plus and UCare. They do provide us with the car seats, and then they reimburse us for each car seat appointment that I do with the education. We have the parents or grandparents come in and watch a DVD on car seat safety. We go over the car seats, and then we just practice installing them in our public health office with our mock seat. So Blue Plus reimburses us $81.44 per car seat appointment, and then UCare is $81.60 per appointment. And then, like I mentioned, we have grant car seats. Those are distributed through the Department of Public Safety, and we obtained 4 of those back in 2019. So. Why do car seats work? Car seats work because first and foremost, they keep the child in the car. They protect the most important parts of the child, the head, neck, and spine. They protect, or they spread the crash force over the largest portion of the body, the shoulders and the hips. So, next slide. All right, so we want to make sure that we're always choosing the right car seat, which is complicated. There are so many different manufacturers out there. They're making them fancier every day. And one car seat doesn't fit all children. Some 4-year-olds may be able to go into a booster seat. Some need to still be in a 5-point harness. So lots of things to take into consideration. Should they be rear-facing, forward-facing? All that stuff into consideration. So here in Minnesota, we do have a child passenger restraint law. This law requires all children under the age of 8 and 4'9" to be in a federally approved car seat or booster seat. These seats must be installed correctly according to the manufacturer's instructions. And then this law requires that children under the age of 1 and 20 pounds must be in rear-facing car seats. That's the minimum standard, but as child passenger safety technicians, we are encouraging people to keep their children rear-facing until they're at least 2, or until they outgrow the weight of their rear-facing car seat. So this law applies to all federally approved car seats or cars with factory-installed seat belts. So we have a little video here, and it just kind of shows why we do what we do as child passenger safety technicians. You'll see one child in a car seat restrained, and you'll see another child that's not restrained. And the one that's not restrained is flying through the car, hitting his head, neck, and spine, probably has a spinal cord injury, brain injury, possibly has died from this crash. Where the child that's in the car seat probably just has a little bit of minor bruising where those straps held the child into place. So. Any questions at all?
Okay. Commissioner Blaine? Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Melissa, I recall this presentation maybe a couple of years ago too, and refresh my memory. Do we have a shelf life on car seats?
Yes, we do. There are expiration dates on the car seats. Some of them are 6 years at the lowest usually, and then we have some of them that go all the way up to 10 years. So our health plans allow 2 car seats for each child, one in the infant stage and then one in the older stage. So we try to give them car seats that last a long time.
And so those dates are stamped on the car seats because we know young parents, young mothers are typically pretty frugal in trying to address all their needs, and a lot of times we hear of people purchasing car seats at garage sales and things like that, and we want to make sure that these parents are using seats that are still applicable to be providing public safety out there. So thank you for clarifying that for me.
Definitely.
Thank you. Any other questions? If not, we thank you.
Thanks, Melissa. Thanks, Cindy.
Are they going to update us on COVID? Are you going to do that?
Cindy, do you want to do a little update on COVID?
Yeah, please.
This morning, we were at 5,554 total cases, 364 of those in the last 14 days, which gives us a case rate of 107. So that has come down a little in the last week and a half. We were up to 115, 120 for that case rate. We have had 3 deaths in the month of October. We currently have 10 people in the hospital. As close as I can see from the reports, 8 of those are in ICU, 2 are not, and all 10 are unvaccinated.
Was our hospital shut down in the emergency room for a while because they were full of COVID cases and we couldn't use the?
A week ago, I think it was a week ago today, they shut down in the afternoon.
Monday, it was
or
Monday
Monday
afternoon.
afternoon to Tuesday morning. Both, I think, COVID and probably other hospitalizations as well, but they were using their ER for some
Yeah.
beds, yep. So, emergency responders had to,
The ages of these, they always say that, 10 people.
The 10 people that are in the hospital range right now from their 40s to their early 70s, I
And how
believe.
about the deaths, the 3 deaths, do you know?
The
ages
3
of-
deaths, we had a 84-year-old, 56-year-old, and a 42-year-old in the month of October.
Thank you.
good memory, Cindy.
And Cindy, when
wrote
you
'em.
say 5,554, that's from?
That's from the very first day of the pandemic in April of 2020.
So are we seeing, let me see, we're seeing more cases with children now than we did before,
Definitely.
correct?
Last year at this time, we had a case rate of 75, 78. Today, we're at 107 for that 14-day case rate, which is a per 10,000 people. Last year, 11 kids were part of that group in the last 14 days. Today, 101 kids are part of that group. So it's really tenfold what it was last year.
And we've been at 100 kids pretty regularly over the last 3 weeks or so, have we
Yes.
not? So,
Yep, that has leveled off just a little bit, so I'm a little bit encouraged by that. Our number of kids that are eligible for vaccination, that have been vaccinated, is only at about 25, 26%, so that's that 12 to 17-year-old group. And the state average for vaccination in that group is about double what we have, so we're really lagging in getting those kids vaccinated.
and you might have saw yesterday, the governor did a reward program for kids to get vaccinated. I think $200 Visa gift cards and $500,000 college scholarships if they get vaccinated between now and middle of
I believe it's
November.
in
something.
November, yep.
Did you say 500,000?
$5 $100,000
say-
scholarships.
I'm glad I asked that question.
Yeah.
So if you get vaccinated, your name will be put into a drawing.
And I think they're even gonna retroactive for the currently vaccinated kids. I don't think they'll get the gift card, but I think they get the opportunity to be in the drawing.
Yes.
I realize that this new strain wasn't here last year, but how are we a lot worse now that everybody's together versus last year, everybody was kind of secluded? And I don't know if we're having that many more cases, are we? Except for the children that it didn't exist with really last year.
Correct. Our case numbers are about the same as they were in October last year, a little bit higher. The difference is that we have to remember that it's still a vaccine preventable illness, or that we could
Yeah.
really bring the numbers down. Remember that vaccination doesn't mean you won't get COVID. We do have breakthrough cases. However, those 10 people that are in the hospital are the unvaccinated ones. So it's preventing severe illness and death. And our numbers are high because those kids that can't get vaccinated, so those 5 to 12 or 5 to 11-year-olds are unable to be vaccinated. We've got a good number of kids in the 12 to 17-year-old range that are eligible for vaccine, that haven't received it and are testing positive.
Okay. Thank you for that information. Does anybody have anything else? Otherwise, thank you, Sam.
Thanks, Cindy.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cindy.
Okay, next we've got land service. Welcome, Amy.
Morning, Amy.
Morning, Amy.
Good morning, Miss Amy.
Good morning. Okay, I've got a few items for you this morning. The first one is to consider the rezone request from John and Sandra Monroe. And if you recall, that was to rezone a parcel of land from agriculture to residential for the purpose of future development. This was recommended for approval by the Planning Commission at their last meeting. Within your packet, I do have a resolution for approval because that is in line with what the Planning Commission recommended. However, this is up for your discussion today. And then I will just remind you that a supermajority is needed in order to pass a rezone.
Okay, could I get a motion on that?
I'll make a motion for more discussion.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Winter,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Lemire. Any further discussion? Commissioner Lemire?
I'll start. I supported this the last time. I wholeheartedly plan on supporting it this time. However, when I did attend the Planning Commission meeting, there were some things that made me really struggle with this decision. One being Brigadier General Cruz came to the meeting, discussed the importance of intrusion, or the impact, I can't remember the exact word, but the impact that development can have on the mission of Camp Ripley and the hundreds of employees and the thousands of training soldiers that could have on them. So that was new this time to last time. Something else that was new to me that was Ms. Wetstein brought forth more clearly the purpose of the property and the ag classification, on what that ag classification could become. It looked like it was planted for the harvesting of trees, and if you do harvest those trees, then you could turn that land into prime ag land. Mr. Brucher brought up a good point on the concerns of manure applications, and as all you know, that has been a concern to our county on the application of manure, and you put 18 more homes in there, that's 18 more people that will be complaining about manure application, and they already have heard many individuals complaining about their manure applications already. Big thing in the under Goal B1, we'll work with the county cities and their surrounding townships to plan for orderly growth and to reflect such plans in the county's zoning ordinances. Mr. Keir was here, and I believe last time they were like neutral on this issue, but this time it was an adamant that they were against this issue. And to me, that isn't working with your surrounding townships. It's, like we always complain about the power of big government, the state and the federal telling us what to do, and I believe this is the county telling the townships what they should have in their townships. Our comp plan states that we will support the mission of Camp Ripley, and I am a big personal property rights guy. That's why I'm struggling with this one, but and in my mind, I've went back and forth on this issue all week after attending that planning commission meeting, and I've come to the conclusion that I will not support the rezone. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
Mr. Chair, I've got a statement,
Zelinski.
if I may. As we all know, a year and a half ago, Mr. Monroe brought this very rezone request to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission voted 3-2, I believe, to send it at that time back to the County Board recommending passage. At the end of the day, the County Board, on a 3-2 vote, voted not to rezone. And here we are again today. This past Tuesday at the Planning Commission meeting, Mr. Monroe's rezone request was once again heard, and once again, the Planning Commission voted 3-2 to send it to the County Board recommending passage. At Tuesday's Planning Commission meeting, Shannon from Soil and Water spoke direct and clearly that this was ag land, that it was treed ag land. She was very clear from her perspective and from my understanding that if the trees would be harvested, this land would certainly be made into ag crop land, and with the use of a pivot, that there was nothing wrong with this property, nothing wrong with this soil, that it would be active ag soil. We heard from several of the residents, including Camp Ripley, General Cruz, who, by the way, supported everyone that was in attendance, both for and against. General Cruz spoke highly of the ACUB program and the importance of such a program. In fact, this area, which we're talking about being 1.5 miles from camp, is in the #1 priority area for ACUB. However, all of us know ACUB is not a mandatory program. There was a lot of conversation regarding the development on Eagles Landing versus this rezone request. Clearly, the development on Eagles was, I believe, probably 1999 or in the very early 2000s or late 1990s, prior to ACUB and prior to the Sentinel Landscape programs. Today, clearly, I might add crystal clearly, the Morrison County Comp Plan screams the support of ag and ag land, and it screams clearly the support of Camp Ripley. I might add that the comp plan is a living, breathing document that was written long before me by commissioners that had a vision. In this particular case, by supporting a rezone, or by supporting this in particular rezone, I would not be following our very own comp plan. As we sometimes hear, what good is a plan if you're not going to follow it? Mr. Monroe is not asking for a variance. He is asking for a complete change in the land application. As we just heard from Commissioner Lemire, we also heard from a Ripley Township supervisor that township is totally against this rezone. I believe, Amy, you also spoke of another township supervisor from Ripley Township that had sent you correspondence also stating that they're not interested in it.
That's correct.
I respect township grassroots government too much to not listen to what they have to say. Further, the planning commissioner member representing District 2 also spoke fully in favor of agriculture and not in support of this rezone. Mr. Chair, for these reasons and probably a few others that didn't come to my mind, I cannot in good conscience go against the time, the effort, the work that has been done by previous boards. I have to support the township and the overwhelming voice of the people of the township. I cannot and will not support Camp Ripley and all it does for the area, for Minnesota, for the United States, and for that matter, for the world. Further, I will not support our current comp plan. And Mr. Chair, for right now, I think that's all I've got.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have anything to add? Commissioner Blaine?
Well, Mr. Chair, I appreciate the comments by my colleagues, Commissioner Lemire and Commissioner Jelinski. There's a couple points that I'd like to make in reference to the process that dictates our governance in Morrison County. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to General Cruz, who's not here this morning, but who attended the hearing 2 weeks ago on this issue, or a week ago. Thank you. On this issue. And to try and clarify a little bit about the understanding of the ACUB program and the Sentinel Landscape program. And I don't have the exact words that General Cruz used in front of me at that meeting, but he stressed the fact that the ACUB program is a voluntary program, and the participation of individuals and property owners in Morrison County in that ACUB boundary that surrounds Camp Ripley is a voluntary program. And this program is designed to be used as a vehicle to help mitigate undue complaints to Camp Ripley and build better understanding of Camp Ripley's existence in Morrison County with personal property owners out there. Nowhere in the development of ACUB does it give Camp Ripley the right to control the development of property that is not enrolled in that program. And I think somehow that's been inferred or misunderstood by people, that because a piece of property lies within a designated area of that ACUB program, that development should never or can never happen there. And that if allowed, that somehow this board and or the county is not following our comprehensive plan and supporting ACUB. As I understand our comprehensive plan and our relationship with Camp Ripley and leadership at Camp Ripley and the existence of Camp Ripley, we support those individuals and property owners in Morrison County who own property and choose to enroll that property into the ACUB program and receive compensation for that. We also support the right of property owners who choose not to enroll their property in forever limiting development on that property with no end date. That is our support for Camp Ripley and for the people who live on property surrounding Camp Ripley lies in those facts. The other point that I'd like to make, Mr. Chair, is in relationship to designation of property in its current state, rather in somehow people looking at what property could be. This property is a forested parcel of 40 acres that on the initial evaluation of the soil under there was that it was deemed to be not prime ag land in Morrison County. But somehow the discussion on how this land should be viewed is by saying, well, if we ripped all the trees off this land and stuffed a center pivot on it, now it would be prime ag land. I don't think it's fair or correct to look at every piece of land and say that, well, if we change it, then this will be what it could be or what it will be. In the same sense, we could say every meadow, swamp, or wetland that exists in Morrison County, we're going to go in and we're going to dig ditches and all that land, and we'll tile it all, and then we'll make all of that land prime ag land. I don't think that that is the intent on how we look at agricultural land in Morrison County. And being the only active farmer on the county board, I feel it's my place to be able to state that because I understand what ag land is and prime ag land is and the value of the agricultural economy to the county of Morrison. But I don't think it's in the best interest of the people of Morrison County or the desire of the people of Morrison County that we're going to change Morrison County to look like Renville County. We're going to have corn and beans from township road to township road. There's value and diversity in the county, and there are needs in the county that have to be met going forward. Housing will be one of those needs, and it will be up to the leadership in this county, including the county board, as to how we will address that in an orderly and effective manner going forward. Mr. Chair, thank you for allowing me to share those comments.
Thank you. Is anybody, Commissioner Wincher?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Anyway, first of all, I got to thank our IT team because I had a hard time getting onto the video, and they got that sent to me. So again, I listened to partial. I apologize. I wasn't at the meeting. I had another meeting with our engineer that night. So I listened to it intently 2.5 times at least. I listened to, especially it's been brought up about General Cruz, that he supports ACUB, but he said these words, and it affected me on what he supports it willingly, and that's why I'm looking at this. He says I'm supporting this willingly if the landowner wants to do it. What we have here, and I think this is a non-starter for ACUB in my own position here. This should have nothing to do with ACUB. We I support Camp Ripley. I support ACUB. I mean, but I support the people that get into ACUB. But again, this is a priority thing that this applicant, he has the opportunity to get into ACUB, but he doesn't have to take it. We're not pushing, I just don't want other people to basically make somebody do what they want with their land. It's just not right that you're going to have neighbors going against each other as far as, hey, you know what, you got to do with this land because I want to have a four-wheel trailer. I want to, there might be get an accident. We can always predict the future, but also I live in a very township that's very diversified as far as development. We have two developments, one's within a stone's throw of me. Again, it was brought up by Shannon, and I appreciate her being there also and putting her views in this, that this ag land at the time, and this was probably, 8-9 years ago, they wanted to develop this ag land. But it wasn't that good of ag land, and yet we could have came in there and pushed her all over, and there was some pushback on it. Well, this is spot zoning and that sort. Well, now you go by it, it's beautiful area. There's houses in that area. They're nice families that are brought into this area. And then also I heard the gentleman on the video say, well, they should take their zoning elsewhere and go where it's done. And Amy, I hope you can agree with me on this one. We have ag producers that want to put housing on their irrigation corners because of the fact that they can't do anything with it. But we don't allow that. So it's not just all the ag. It's brought up about the smell. The smell was there before. The smell is there now. You're always going to have people hate the smell, hate having change. Change is something that we're going to have to go. The comp plan, again, is very, very important to us. And General Cruz brought that up, that part of ACUB is in our comp plan. Well, yes, it is. It's in our comp plan. And he supports it. We all support it. Again, he said those key words, if you're willing to go into ACUB. But he supports everything. And I think that's something that we really have to look at, because the fact that he's not telling us that, you know what, you got to do it, come into ACUB. And my other few things, about 2 weeks ago, a lady invited me over she's left about a half a mile from Camp Ripley. During the day, I'm over there, and I'm talking, they're doing touch and goes, and this is, I won't mention her name, we're talking, I couldn't hear her. And after they flew over, you know what she says? I really love these planes coming over. She says, and it did. It made me, with my hair stand on my back, because it just shows that, hey, the Camp Ripley's there to protect us, but they're also here to work with us. And I just feel that as we're bringing this up here, that, the township and Mr. Kier, I appreciate what he has to say too, but in his thing, he's bringing up ACUB. And I just don't think this should be part of the zoning process, because the fact that our applicant has the option to either go in it or go out with it. We don't need to it. It was brought up by Commissioner Blaine about the ag land and stuff like that. And it was said that this was made to be harvested. Come on over to my place. My rows, I planted over 5,000 trees on mine. They're right down the road, or right nice line. I don't plan on harvesting it. I put it there for, for keeping the dust bowl out. And it was also brought up that with this cover crops, come by Royalton in about May or June. The real estate really moves during those days when it's windy out there. It's windy. They still have their cover crop. Again, so if the irrigation comes in, that cover crop is a great thing, but I say it doesn't prevent, all the dust from leaving. And I say, I just feel in this case, I'm going to support it. I supported it last time. I have a question for Amy. Did our applicant change anything from last time to this time as far as his application goes?
Mr. Chair, no, he did not.
Okay, so there again, there's nothing that's changed between now and prior, other than we had some, the speakers come here and give up. But I say, I just think as far as this rezone goes,
This is something that applicant has. Again, where are these people gonna go? As far as our comp plan, we're gonna have people coming in and, that he could sell it to a farmer, they could put up a hog barn, with a variance, obviously, or a chicken barn. There's so many other things that they do. And I do support ag land. I'm probably the one out here that I came from a very large farm, born and raised here in Morrison County. I know how important the ag is, but it's also, we have to do things for our people that are wanting to build, bring families in. I can talk in the past, in the 70s, when they didn't want to put a college here. Well, it's sitting in Brainerd. I mean, that's another story, but they just didn't want that here because they didn't want change. We need the family here. Also, as far as like the township goes, yeah, they're going to get tax money on this here, and we're all going to benefit this because they bring families in for our schools and that sort. And I'd say it meets every standard that they have as far as our questions go as far as rezoning. It's in a nice area. You won't even hardly recognize these houses sometimes. They're not going to bulldoze the trees down. Most people want to keep their trees there. And I say the stand about 3 or 4 miles over by Blanchard Dam, you can't tell there's houses. I think there's 20-some houses in there. People who are against it, you have no idea they're there. Nice families again. And I think that's a very important that, we also consider that. So I will definitely be approving this again.
Commissioner Blaine, did you have a question?
Mr. Chair, I had a comment, and what really concerns me, and with what we're seeing in the process here now, is, and I don't think that this is desired by anyone, and I think this is a dangerous slope to be approaching here, is where we are allowing the ACUB program to now be utilized as a weapon between neighbors to control other neighbors' ability and rights to do what they want on their property. And if this action, and it looks like this will probably happen, Mr. Chair, I think we're going to have to do is request a sit down with General Cruz again and with those involved with the ACUB program, and share with them the effects that this has on development in Morrison County, because now we're looking at not just the initial boundary of ACUB, but then the next phase boundary of ACUB. And if we're saying then that there will be absolutely no development in there because it's ACUB, and we can't allow that, even though this is supposed to be voluntary, we're talking about a significant chunk of Morrison County that will never be developed. And the implications that will have on the future of Morrison County have to be realized. And that conversation will have to happen. And so my concern with this is that we are now using or allowing neighbors to use the ACUB program or the Sentinel Landscape program as a weapon against their neighbors or potential neighbors on development when these programs were started in 2004. In my term, in terms in the legislature, this was a voluntary program for voluntary development control around Ripley. So, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, Amy,
Commissioner Lemire.
is ag most prevalent in that area?
Within the area of the rezone?
Yeah.
Yes.
Residential goal B1, in areas where agriculture is most prevalent, limit housing densities to those most likely to prevent conflict. I'll use that one instead of ACUB. I'll use that one instead of Sentinel Landscape. I'll use the issues involved, or the township voting against it. I'll use those. I don't need to use the ACUB program because I agree with you. It is a voluntary program. But if you think General Cruz came here just to sit in on the meeting, he came here to make a statement that rezoning has consequences for Camp Ripley. But I don't need to use the ACUB program and Central Landscape program. I can use the Mr. Brucher's comment on Menard application. I can use it for strictly agriculture. So even though I did mention it, I wish I wouldn't have mentioned it. That's not the only reason.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lemire.
And Mr. Chair, if I may,
Commissioner Jelinski.
I'll eliminate ACUB. I'll eliminate the Sentinel Landscape, although I've sat on those boards. So I don't want to eliminate it in that regard. But like Commissioner Lemire, I used the term ACUB very clearly. I might add, I used the term the Sentinel Landscape, and clearly I said that they are not mandatory, they are voluntary. But taking ag land out of ag land and making it residential, you'll never bring it back to residential. I will never sit on this board and have a conversation with the person that I picked to sit on the Planning Commission board, and when the argument, if you will, is taking ag land out of use, period, and putting it into residential, and that person, an egg producer, telling me, not an egg producer, that no, it's the wrong thing to do, I will never not support that. So that's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would love to hear what you have to say, Mr. Chair.
Well, you guys said it all. I just want to, I appreciate all the work that we've all taken on this project, because we haven't taken this lightly. I voted against this last time, and I voted against because I didn't have a lot of information on ACUB, and I was giving ACUB a lot more support than I do today. COVID hit, and we were going to have a meeting with that, and that never happened. And that's why I voted against that last time. I have to look at this a little different. When we look at our county plan, you know, we do a lot of work to create businesses in Morrison County, and housing is very short in Morrison County. We need more housing. I drove up there on Sunday and looked around at the area, and I don't know where a nicer place would be for homes. The homes that are up there are beautiful homes. It's a nice area. I look at if the golf course would ever not exist, there would probably be homes built on that. And we have to have housing in Morrison County for all the people that live here and work here. And this has already kind of started. There's a lot of homes up there already. So I would look at this a little differently if we were taking 40 acres out of cornfields and just putting in a development. But I believe that homes, it is a good place for homes. So I'm going to support this. I agree with a lot of things that everybody else said, and I'm not going to repeat all those, but I guess I don't have anything else to say. So does anybody else have anything to say? Otherwise, we have a motion on the floor and second. This will be a roll call vote.
And if I may, one thing, again, like Amy said, this has to be a super majority. So if it passes 3-2 or it fails 3-2, or it has to be 4 of us that have to move forward. Otherwise, it's a fail. Just want to clarify. Am I correct on that, Amy?
It would have to be at least 4 of you voting for it, yes.
And Amy, could you explain to me a little bit, if this would pass, for instance, what's the next step in this process? It doesn't mean that he goes out and starts building homes tomorrow.
No. Since it's understood that the purpose of this rezone is for future development, the applicant is proposing a plat. And so then we do require a public hearing for a plat. So essentially, the surveyors would get involved and really essentially lay out the plat based on what the property will allow. Then that would come for a public hearing for preliminary plat. And then there would be recommendation by the Planning Commission and either approval or changes by by the Planning Commission and County Board of the preliminary plat. And then it would come for another public hearing for a final plat before those parcels would be created and before development would begin.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner
Yeah,
Winter.
but to follow up on that too, so when you're bringing this up, Amy, so again, it's been said that he wants to put, the applicant wants to put 18 houses in. That doesn't mean he's gonna get 18 houses. Plus, there's a big thing in that we could do, the planning commission, the board also could put conditions on that, whether maybe they should make sure, and I know we do that, but a part of the selling of the lots, he could say, you know what, we gotta have the applicant who's purchasing the lot that, hey, there's gonna be sounds and smells. Would that be something that we could do? And there would be a few other things too, like water testing for, if you could kind of expound on that before you take a vote?
Typically with a plat, the land is gonna dictate what it can support. So by the time you get a standard road design in there, and you look at the limitations of the land as far as for wetland and septic, that will drive the parcel size and the layout of that. So really the number of sites is really determined by what the land can support and will allow. The county board certainly has the ability to put conditions in the preliminary plat stage as far as changes that you want to see and the justification for those. And then also there is a requirement for green space within plats, and so that would be something that also would need to be considered and allowed for within a development like that. You also, and a developer can also develop covenants, which are essentially rules that everyone who purchases within that area needs to abide by, and those are generally written up and provided to the planning commission and board during the planning process, so you know what those proposed requirements are.
Just Commissioner Jelinski asked for a question?
I've just got one thing.
Yep, go ahead.
And I would like to think, we have a lot of kids here today and a lot of other people here today. I would, honest to goodness, right, wrong, good, bad, ugly, plus, minus, agree, disagree. I would like to simply thank, first of all of the kids for being here today, and certainly for everybody else. I think it's a big deal. It's county government. This is what county government is, and thank you, moms and dads, moms, for bringing the kids along today. That's very kind of you. Thank you, and thank you for everybody.
Commissioner Lemire?
Amy, when we were doing our density issues with the townships,
Yes.
did they ever reveal what they want for a density?
Ripley Township?
Yeah.
Yes, they indicated they would like an A80.
So that would be the supporting agriculture.
One dwelling entitlement per 80 acres,
Okay.
yes.
And then why is it why does this issue need a supermajority?
Ordinance requires a supermajority to change the official zoning map.
Because it's an important issue.
Correct.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Amy, I had a lot of phone calls and nitrates came up as a
Yes.
question. Will you explain nitrates to us in the sense of if you had a development like this, the sewer systems that would be approved would take care of nitrates, am I correct? Or will you explain that to us?
Well, nitrates come from lots of different,
Yep.
it can be naturally occurring in water. And then there's also contributing factors like ag use, improper sewage treatment. Those things certainly can contribute to the nitrate level in water. And so if you have naturally occurring nitrates, that's kind of a separate issue. But septic systems definitely can contribute if they don't adequately and properly treat. When a septic system is installed, it's designed to state standards, which provides for adequate treatment, so those systems should not be contributing to an additional nitrate load to drinking water if they're functioning properly. And that's the responsibility of every property owner that has a septic system that is functioning properly and maintained properly, so it continues to treat adequately.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted that kind of clarified
Yes.
what that all means, so. Okay, does anybody have anything else? If not, we have a motion and a second to support this. This will be a roll call vote. Commissioner Lemire?
No.
Commissioner Wincher?
Aye.
Commissioner Jelinski,
No.
Commissioner Blaine,
Aye.
and I. So it fails on a 3-2 vote. Thank you, everybody, for being here, and,
How about a bathroom break?
yep, we will take a break. I was just gonna say that.
Bathroom break. is
Thanks
a
for
good
all the
idea.
input.
Or at least a stand-up break.
I just want to make sure. I forgot to write that down right away.
That's why we get paid the big.
That's exactly right. That's what we do.
Like you said, a well-done job. Do your homework and make your position. It is what government's about.
Sorry to get you. You've been here. You could have been first.
That was me.
I now have to.
And so what I'll do is, I will add, since they voted differently than the planning commission, I'll add
Autumn Antlers is really good more information.
Okay, do you have, can you give me like the statute or rule citations, so I can maybe glean some elements of licensure out of there? Okay. I just wanted to give them what.
They still haven't got back to me about if they were.
Yeah. No news is. No news. Yeah. Yeah. Right, well, they.
I think they care. Diversity. Parts of some of these more
Yeah.
controversial.
Yeah, the only other question I had, and I was trying to find out who I should talk to from a daycare license. There is a daycare very close by. Are there any requirements for daycare to be certain distances away from facilities like that? All right, that's what I wanted to know.
Nope, that only comes into play with sex offenders.
Okay, all right,
And then it's more about the person than it is about the facility.
okay, all right, I just wanted to make sure. Here. Oh. All I can hear? That's all I can hear. It is so screaming.
Now you have 3 more things.
I got 2 more.
2 more there.
Yeah, they should. Yeah, they should go okay.
So everybody was here for that.
Yes.
Not for the other.
Correct.
Slideshow fiasco, sorry.
I know, right?
That was just all changed.
Hi. What's your name? Brad. Brad Bold. Oh, pleased to meet you.
Hey.
Who are you? I'm Dave Brewster. I'll tell you what, is that I had a personal talk with Paul Gazelka on Sunday afternoon about this. And he reached out to both. I'm surprised we didn't swing Blaine because he's got political ambitions. But he did reach out to them.
Hey, thanks for coming.
So I'm just saying, you two talk. I mean, you know what I'm saying. You know what I
I did it for him.
Amy, do we have
mean.
anything else?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree.
Amy's
Totally.
not going anywhere just yet.
You're right.
Okay, we will reconvene. Mark, are you ready? Okay. Amy, I think she's got some more stuff for us.
We're back.
I do. Good morning again. The next item I have for you is to consider the interim use permit request for Michael and Heather Wachnick. And this is to establish a home extended business, specifically a clothing boutique. And this was recommended for approval by the Planning Commission with one condition. And that condition is the interim use permit shall expire when Michael and Heather Wachnick no longer own the property the accessory structure is located upon.
I'll move on this, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Jelinski, seconded by Commissioner Blaine. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. And the last thing I have is to consider the proposed land use control ordinance amendment. This is amending section 1500 of the ordinance. This is in regard to meets and bounds subdivisions, and this amendment would require a deed to be recorded for the residual parcel. This was also recommended for approval by the Planning Commission, and it is proposed, if adopted today, it would be effective December 1st, 2021.
Could I get a motion on that?
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Lemire, seconded by Commissioner Blaine. Is there any further discussion? Amy, could you explain a little bit? You explained that night, the other party. You explain how that works now,
Yes.
what this is going to do differently a little bit?
Yes. So we have, a majority of the land divisions we see in Morrison County are meets and bounds. They're not platted. And a meets and bounds legal description is really just a description if you were walking the perimeter of the parcel, as far as, okay, you go north 50 feet and then you go south, and it's just really a road map around. When we have a land division off there, then that new parcel is described that way with meets and bounds, and so it goes around the perimeter. However, the residual parcel, or the parcel that new parcel is coming off of, isn't always redescribed. And so over time and over the years, when we've had multiple splits off of that parcel, that legal description gets extremely long and complicated, because essentially what those descriptions look like is the original description of what it was, less the legal descriptions of everything that's come off of it over time. So essentially, it's not describing that parcel anymore. It's describing all of the parcels that came off of it, and then you're just left with whatever is left. And that is problematic on many fronts. Number one, when legal descriptions get really long, then we can have human error when those get rewritten. And so we certainly can lose the accuracy of a long legal description over time. And then also, it's a lot of research in trying to make sure that you're finding all of the pieces that came off of that. So on a staffing front, it's problematic, but also from the general public to really know and understand what they own, and be clear about that. So this is a requirement that when you have a split, you need to re-describe that piece that it's coming off of to move in the direction of cleaning those up.
Okay, thank you very much for that explanation. Does anybody have Commissioner Jelinski.
Mr. Chair, Ms. Amy, who does that fall upon then? Does that fall upon the buyer, or does that fall upon the seller, or does that fall upon both, or?
Typically, it would be whomever is causing the survey to happen. So whoever the client is for the surveyor would be requesting the surveyor to do the survey work and land split and legal description work for the piece coming off, and then for the residual piece. That can be several, every situation is a little bit different, but generally it's the seller that would be.
Oh, generally the seller?
Generally, the
Okay,
seller
okay,
would be
very
doing
good.
that, but.
Just curious, thank you.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
All right, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Amy, have a wonderful day.
Thanks, you too.
Next, we have Auditor's Report. Good morning, Chelsea.
Morning, Chelsea.
All right. First on the agenda, I have something that's not in the packet and Brad will hand out, but it is for the DMV office. So before you, I have a contract from LexisNexis, which is
Excuse me, sorry.
a credit card agreement. So currently, we use credit cards in our DMV office. And if you remember back maybe a year ago, I asked you if we could use capital equipment funding to purchase credit card machines because we're getting an upgrade and we have to get new machines. So since then, we have not yet updated because we've been waiting for the state. And the state had mentioned to us that we can stay with our current provider, which is Avalon, or we can switch to LexisNexis. So the state has approved us to look at another vendor. So looking at our current vendor that we have, and then the opportunity to move with LexisNexis, overall, looking at their agreement is cut and dry. It is locked for a 1-year agreement that rolls over into another year. We can pull out of the agreement. We need to give a 60-day notice. The county is liable for any claims caused by the county, and they're liable for any claims that are caused by them. So, like I said, very cut and dry. The one thing with LexisNexis, which is on page 3, is you'll see that there's no cost for setup. So they would be giving us machines, the credit card terminal, printer, and the support for setup with no cost. Our current vendor, Avalon, has informed us that if we stay, we'll need to buy machines, 5 machines. They'll give us 1 free. And then we'll also have to purchase 6 printers because they don't have printers with the new machines. So that cost would run us about $3,900, which I kind of estimated last year about $3,600. And then on the very last page, the fee schedule, the credit and debit charge is 2.49, which is the same charge that we have. And that charge is set by the state as well. So today what I would be asking is to approve the agreement to work with going forward with LexisNexis. The DPS DVS has already approved this vendor, and I am comfortable with looking at moving with them.
Still move, Mr. Chair.
Second for more discussion.
Have a motion by Commissioner Lemire, seconded by Commissioner Wincher. Commissioner Wincher.
Thank you. Could you clarify, is this gonna be like for a 1 year, 2 years? What are we proving here?
Sure. So this agreement is for a 1-year contract, and then it will roll over for another year. So if we don't touch the agreement, it will continue on.
So it'll be 2 year, but we have the
Or
option.
3-year, but we have the, or whatever it may
So we
be.
just leave it alone, it just keeps rolling over, is that what you're?
Correct. And that's what we currently have with Avalon. That's, I don't bring it to the board annually because it's just continuing.
Understand, thank you.
The only question that I have on that is, we didn't have to purchase these machines that we have, right? they gave us those machines? You're saying that
The
a
ones
new-
that we currently have?
Yeah, you're saying that a new contract, they would give us one and we'd have to purchase the other ones that we have already. So what's to say that this company isn't the same way next year? Because, or did you know that last year, that in a year we have to purchase 4 and 1 was free?
Yes, last year I did know that our current provider had stated if we stay on with Evalon that we will have to purchase
Okay.
new credit card machines. They would give us 1 free, so we would have to purchase 5. They did not inform us that we had to also buy printers, separate printers. And so each printer is a cost of $319 for each printer. I have asked that if we were to stay with our current vendor, if we could share printers for credit cards, so in between each station, and they said no, because it is linked to that terminal for the credit card. So that's not an option.
And this new contract will give us the machines, and if we renew the contract, it's not like we have to buy them out or nothing?
Correct.
Okay, sounds good. Commissioner Blaine?
So, thank you, Mr. Chair. Chelsea, I know you usually do a lot of background work on these things before you bring them to us. I'm assuming that this LexisNexis is an established company and that you have colleagues in motor vehicle across the state who are also using LexisNexis and utilizing the same contract in their county. Is that correct?
Yes, so I have done research. Currently, there's over 2,800 government agencies on LexisNexis. They have been servicing governments for over 30 years. We know that there are deputy registrars that are already utilizing LexisNexis, and there are deputy registrars at this time moving from Evalon to LexisNexis.
So we have a track record that gives us comfort moving forward.
Yes.
And I was just gonna say that we also have a LexisNexis contract in social services, so we work with them on doing background checks and relative searches, and they've been fairly good to work with, actually.
You know, and one point to add to Brad is they have mentioned to us that in this contract agreement, we have the 2.49%. But this is something that I'm hoping to look into within this next year, is credit card services for the county as a whole, because we have different vendors, we have different fees, and they said that they would be possibly looking at a lower rate if the county were to merge. You know, and there's many, many options for, say, property tax collections, credit card payments. So this is one, again, just approved by DVS, DPS to move to LexisNexis from our current vendor, Evalon. But yes, I did see in looking in the history that it supports social services.
Commissioner Jelinski?
And Mr. Chair, if I can just piggyback off of all of that, is that in my previous world, LexisNexis is a huge resource to law enforcement. I mean, huge. Didn't realize that they were involved in credit card machines, but if LexisNexis is anything like Brad alluded to, easy to work with, I just can't imagine that. And this is the same operation due to the logo. I mean, it's the same thing. I just can't imagine that they would not be relatively easy to work with also, so.
And just one more note, if I may, Mr. Chair, Brian did review the contract and is approved the contract as well from the county attorney perspective.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Before I hop into the auditor's report, I just wanted to let you know from our past meetings, the DMV office, we have changed our phone prompts. So I know that you have mentioned that you've been getting phone calls where it's hard to get through to our staff. So we've changed that so it's much easier to get to our staff through the phones. And then also, right now, we require appointments for first-time Real ID and Enhanced. Starting November 1st, we will not have requirements for appointments for Real ID and Enhanced. However, we will highly suggest that you make an appointment so that you have your set time. So appointments are available for any service. So if you want to set time to come in and renew your tabs, you can set an appointment. You don't have to, but the option's there. So that convenience is still going to stay there. So just wanted to give you an update on the DMV.
Mr. Chair, I also want to commend again, I had somebody out of our county call me and say, hey, they want to thank the DMV here for answering their phone.
I
Because then
agree.
again, I know the person out of the county, because they tried getting to their DMV, they put on hold, and then leave a message. So again, thank you for getting that and staying on top of that, appreciate that.
Thank you. One other thing I want to add, I don't know if you've been in the hallway through the DMV office, but we have a TV screen that's out in the hallway before you walk into the entry area. And so my staff have made a little recording video on how to check in at the kiosk. So something new that we just updated about a week or two ago. So we're getting tech savvy in the office. So just
Okay,
wanted to
thank you.
share that. Next, I have in the Auditor Treasurer's report, I have the third quarter cash and investments report. So this is a report that you just see quarterly. The top portion is our liquid revenue accounts. So again, these are our checking or money market accounts. The middle section is special accounts that we have reserved for certain funds. And then our bottom portion is our CDs, our investments. So in third quarter, not a lot of movement. We've had some CDs that matured. One thing in third quarter that is new is we are doing business with Stearns Bank of Upsala. If you recall, we added them to the list. And so on the bottom there, you'll see Stearns Bank of Upsala CD for $240,000. So that is updated. And then next quarter, you'll see Morton Capital Markets on our listing as well, because that was just approved. So I will be working with the Vice President on setting up our accounts through Morton Capital Markets. On the next page, I have the third quarter interest report. So overall, for third quarter, our interest was just over $26,000. I was reminiscing through the good old days. When I was looking at third quarter last year, we had interest for third quarter of just over $62,000, so about $20,000 for each month. So less than half of that for interest because, of course, rates have been dropping, CDs have been maturing, and not a lot of opportunity for investment, and rates are really low. So on the next report, it kind of ties in the September 2021 cash report. This is a report that you see monthly, and this report, the deputy auditor and I balance out monthly to make sure that all of our numbers tie in both systems. And again, this report shows our monies by fund, and then the previous report was funds by bank account. Any questions at all on the report?
Doesn't look like it. Thank you.
And then last but not least, I have a request to approve board warrants.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Wincher, seconded by
Blaine.
Commissioner Blaine. Any other questions? If not, all in favor signify by... Oh, I'm sorry. Roll call. Commissioner Wincher.
Aye.
Commissioner Jelinski.
Aye.
Commissioner Blaine.
Aye.
And I, and Commissioner Lemire.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And then last but not least, I just want to mention we're wrapping up tax collection from last Friday. The mail's still coming in postmarked for October 15th, so we're just buttoning that up. And then November 5th, we have set for our tax forfeited land sale, so just a reminder on that. We've been getting phone calls, inquiries, so that is a good thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chelsea.
Thank you.
Okay, Public Works, Steve, welcome.
Good morning, Steve.
Morning,
Mr.
Steve.
Chairman, members of the board. A couple of action items for your consideration today. The first being, Morrison County has been over the years a big recipient of federal highway dollars. The way that works is the state of Minnesota gets a large allotment through the United States government, and it's worked through the Federal Highway Administration. The state of Minnesota takes 25% of what they receive, and that's distributed through different programs to local units of government. One of the things, though, that they're asking or requiring us to do, which we have been in compliance with, is Title VI, the federal regulations which prohibit discrimination on the basis of race, color, or origin. What they're asking is a more detailed and comprehensive plan that's been in place by most of the counties over the years. And so we have developed the implementation plan that was part of your packet. It lays out the legal authorities that we have for implementing Title VI. It sets up a policy for the department. It talks about Title VI assurances, which are documents that we have to include in our contracts that we enter into with private contractors, that they also comply with Title VI. It lays out a complaint procedure if people believe that there's been a violation of Title VI and they've been discriminated against. It provides also other access for limited English proficiency individuals, and also in how we advertise and promote to minorities. Those are the things that are a part of our plan. And so what we're asking is that the board would approve the plan, and this is what we will follow into the future, so that if we do receive an audit of federal funds that we're utilizing and were provided by the Federal Highway Administration, we would have this in place, which we worked very closely with the Office of Civil Rights with MnDOT to develop. So we know that we have a good plan here.
Okay, could I get a motion on this? We got a motion by Commissioner Blaine, seconded by Commissioner Wincher. Any further discussion? If not, this is a roll call vote. Commissioner Wincher.
Aye.
Commissioner Jelinski.
Aye.
Commissioner Blaine.
Aye.
And aye, and Commissioner Lemire.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, also included in your packet is an agreement with the city of Royalton for the reconstruction of County Road 234, which is North Hawthorne Street, essentially from the intersection on Center Street at the high school, going to the north to 53rd Street in Royalton. So a little over a mile, I think, of construction that would be included in this project. Commissioner Wincher and I met with the City Council last Tuesday, and the City Council had in 2016 made a request to the county board to include this project in our 5-year plan. We have it proposed in 2023. And so we are in the process of and beginning to look at the design for this project. And so in order to continue with that and be able to proceed, we need an agreement with the city of Royalton, which lays out the terms and conditions of who's going to be responsible for what once we move this project to construction. And so essentially, in a nutshell, the city of Royalton's responsible for their underground utilities. This is not a reconstruction of a substandard roadway. This has never been constructed, so it's basically a new construction project that will have curb and gutter, storm sewer. We'll have sidewalk. I suspect that'll be a determination by the city for handling pedestrian traffic. And it lays those costs out in the attachment that's also provided. And so, but kind of the way it's split is the city's responsible for their underground utilities, the county's responsible for the reconstruction of the street. We will be the lead and we go to bid, we administer, we pay the contractor, and then we bill those things back to the city as the project progresses. It's exactly the same scenario as we have at the City of Piers going on with that project that's just completed. So we're requesting that the board would adopt the agreement and we can move forward with working with the city in the design of the project.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Got a motion by Commissioner Wincher, seconded by Commissioner Blaine. Any further discussions? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Steve.
Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Okay,
Administrators report. I do have one thing. Steve would like to set up a third quarter budget meeting, so we'd like to do it next Tuesday after planning, sometime around 10:30, depending upon how many other items are on there. I know the sheriff is bringing an item, and I have an item, and then, of course, Gary Wires will be here as well to go over the applications. But he suspects a half hour at the most for that item. So is there any conflicts if we were to plan this after planning next week? No. Okay.
okay.
Okay. And then just one other item I'd like to bring up, and Steve, Beth Hamlin, Amy Kowalczyk, and I have interviewed for engineering candidates over the last couple days. We have all had a consensus on the top 3 candidates. So we are currently going over and requesting that we are able to do background checks and reference checks. And if those all come through accordingly, which we assume they will, we'll bring them forward for public interviews with you 5 commissioners to make your decisions who you think would be the best fit. We are coming up with 10 questions for you as a board to ask these candidates. And so if Steve wants to comment or not, but we felt pretty good about all 3 candidates, and I think they all bring something to the table. And so it'll be up to you 5 to decide. So,
What dates are you guys looking at to do
Well,
this?
my question is, before that, Mr. Chair, do we have to do that for public too with the, that's required by statute?
correct, it would be a public board meeting, so,
But it wouldn't have to be at our board meeting. It can be a special meeting that we have
Yeah.
to do this.
I'm thinking, let's see.
How about can we do it next Tuesday in the afternoon? I don't know what you guys' schedules are like.
Well, we got,
Next Tuesday in the afternoon, I'm kind of
budget and
packed
all that
next
too. already.
Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday's gonna be out.
Okay, no problem.
We got budget
So-
on Tuesday too?
Yeah.
26th?
How does Tuesday afternoon, November 2nd look?
November
Looks
2nd.
fine with me.
Nothing, it's after planning you're talking.
No, it would actually be after lunch. We'd break, bring them in the afternoon on November 2nd, starting at probably 1 o'clock.
I guess so, yeah. I don't think.
That would be a regular, is
like
the
on
second
Wednesday?
a regular board meeting I'm looking to tap, or is that a planning session?
Board meeting.
So we have two
Two
planning
planning
sessions
sessions
in a row. So Tuesday, November 2nd is planning session?
Planning?
Would a Wednesday work for anybody?
Wednesday works for
Like
me.
the 3rd?
That does not work for me. I will be at,
Or the 27th?
I would be at Great River Energy then, but
I could make whatever you get.
How
work,
about the
just as long as I have
27th of
notice.
October?
the 27th is a week from tomorrow.
Correct.
That would be, I have no problem there.
Which date?
October 27th
A
is,
week from tomorrow.
Yeah, I can't, I'll be at a meeting at 9.
Just have it when you
Well,
want
in
to
the
have it.
afternoon, you'd
I'll
have it in
just-
the afternoon though, right? On Wednesday?
the 26th in the afternoon,
27th.
27th in the afternoon.
Yeah, then I'd be fine, yeah.
Commissioner Lemire,
that'll work
afternoon.
for me.
Commissioner Jelinski, Commissioner Blaine,
1 o'clock?
1 o'clock, Commissioner Wilson.
Yeah, the earlier the better.
You gonna provide lunch, Brad?
What is this gonna be called?
This will be engineering interviews. There is a caveat, if background checks aren't in, we'll put it on. But if background checks don't come back, then we'll do November 2nd at 1 o'clock as a backup day.
Okay.
And
does that
so,
Just as long as I have a heads
that's
up a
perfect,
little bit.
keep us,
Take off.
send us an email either way.
Yep.
If it
Got you,
confirm
Wayne
either
Bubble.
one of those.
Can you send calendaring events for both days, just so they have it? But we'll plan for the 26th unless background checks.
Perfect.
27.
27, sorry.
27th is a Wednesday, October 2021.
1 o'clock for both days.
And that would take place in this room?
Take place in this room? Yep.
Do you want to do Zoom?
Okay. What else do you have?
That's all I have.
Okay, committee reports and upcoming schedules. Tabitha, what dates are we looking for?
Is that garbage?
November 13th, okay. So we've got October 24th through November 13th. Commissioner Blaine, would you like to start?
I can do that.
24th through
So,
13th?
so on Monday, October 25th at 5:30, there's an extension committee meeting that I will be at. On the 26th,
It's at the meeting here in,
that will be,
extension here in the courthouse,
yeah, in the
extension meeting room.
extension meeting room. Better write that down. On the 26th, we have a planning session at 8:30. We have budget after planning session, and then we will also be meeting with Gary Wires on our ongoing administrator search. At 6 o'clock that evening, there will be a Board of Adjustments Planning Commission meeting. On tentatively for Wednesday, the 27th at 1 o'clock PM, we'll do interviews for our next county engineer. On Thursday, the 28th at 6 o'clock PM, there will be a Region 5 Development Commission meeting in Staples at Sourcewell. On Friday, the 29th at 8:45 AM, I will have a MACAC Zoom meeting with Carly Stark, and that's Minnesota Association of Community Corrections Advisory Committee meeting. That's why it's called MACAC. We'll springboard ahead to Tuesday, November 2nd. At 8:30, we'll have a planning session. And then on Friday, November 5th, we will have a TSWAC meeting at the landfill at 8:30. On Tuesday, November 9th, we will, at 9 o'clock AM, have county board. I would assume that, we won't have I have to double check, do we have, will there be, no, there won't be. I was gonna say, would there be, because we have two,
Isn't the 9th?
because we have two planning sessions in a row, that's gonna screw up the Board of Adjustment Planning Commission schedule, so,
I pulled it up, it shows November 3rd is the next one after.
That's in Elk River, that's what you're talking about?
November 3rd,
That's what I have here, if you don't know,
but that's a Wednesday?
that's what it says on the schedule, on the website.
So we're gonna ask Tabitha to double check or confirm when our next, when the first Planning Commission Board of Adjustment meeting will take place in November. And, or maybe it was because, isn't that first few days in November, AMC?
Nope, that's December.
October 25th.
The second is election day, maybe that's why it was done that way.
You are correct.
That's right.
You're correct. Okay, but our chief scheduler there will email us on that. So, back to the 9th of November, at 9 o'clock, we'll have a county board meeting, and then, I think that's, just about it.
Okay, on November 10th, there's a department head meeting. And then I have Mississippi Headwaters. It's the annual meeting. It's going to be on October 28th in Walker at Chase on the Lake. It'll start at 10 o'clock in the morning. And that's all I've got. The only question I have, Tabitha, is my calendar is not showing board meetings in November on. So we probably don't have any, and, or not don't have any, they're not on our calendar. Okay, just so we know that. All right, Commissioner Lemire?
All I got is HRA on Monday, the 25th, 9 o'clock. And you guys got the rest of it. Oh, wait, Yellow Ribbon on the 8th, 5:30. It's Teams. You guys got the rest.
Randy?
On the 25th of Monday, I don't know if anybody's going to be going, we have that AMC District 5 meeting. That's in Elk River. That's
Right.
where all attended. That's the 25th of this month, coming Monday.
I won't be there.
So, and that's at their courthouse in there, so that's from 5 to 8. We got that, you got me there. We got the Headwaters, that's 2 days, right? The 28th
Well,
and 29th, whatever, yeah.
It's
so.
the first day is when no, it's
And
just,
then
yeah.
I was promoted, no, I don't know if I call it promoted, on November 1st, I sit on the union negotiating team for Great River Regional Library, so we'll be doing that on Monday at 9 o'clock in St. Cloud. 9 a.m., yep. And to the 13th, why do I have a, yeah, we're good. Do I have Headwaters, or maybe?
Mississippi
What,
Headwaters
on the
is the
10th?
20.
What's
no.
on the 10th? What do I have for the 10th for you? All right, anyway, yeah.
Commissioner Winter, can I just clarify?
Yeah.
AMC in Sherburne County, is that evening or?
It's in the morning.
8 o'clock in the morning.
8 o'clock.
Okay, I thought you
It's
said
8 to
5.
8 to noon,
Thank you.
yeah. And yeah, we'll probably need some representative there to say what's going on in the districts. or whatever.
Nicole Kern is gonna be able to be there, so I'm gonna give her a little spiel. I'm
So
not able to
Everyone's
attend.
invited.
That's next Monday
Yeah, it's coming this Monday.
Yep,
in Sherburne County,
Sure, at Elk River, yeah.
yep.
River, okay. Just one second. Let's finish up his calendar.
Got one more thing. My turn?
Yep.
Finish?
What's the name of your Great River Regional Library meeting? What's the name of it? Just, that's the meeting?
It's a union negotiating meeting
Okay, and then it's gonna be at the St. Cloud.
at St. Cloud Library, yep.
Go ahead.
My turn?
Yep.
On the 25th at 9 o'clock in the morning, besides the district meeting, there's a State Emergency Communications Board Regional Stakeholders Meeting at 9 o'clock. That's virtual. On the 26th at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I've got a 911 telecommunicators work group meeting, virtual, which I'm going to guess I'm probably going to miss because I'm thinking we're going to have our hands full with planning, budget, and meeting with Gary. Also that evening at 7 PM, there's a candlelight vigil, in the parking lot here of the Government Center, Hands of Hope, remembering those who have lost their lives to domestic violence. I probably missed that because of our Board of Adjustment meeting or Planning Commission. The 28th, 12:30 in the afternoon, I've got a State Emergency Communications Board meeting. The 29th, 10 o'clock in the morning, I have a Central Minnesota Emergency Services Joint Powers Board meeting. Virtual, I believe. On the 2nd of November at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I have a 911 telecommunicators work group meeting, virtual. On the 3rd, at 11 o'clock in the morning, I have a Central Minnesota Emergency Services Board Executive Committee. I believe that's virtual. On the 4th, at 10 o'clock in the morning, I have a State Emergency Communications Board Legislative Committee meeting, virtual. On the 5th of November, perhaps after we're done with TSWAC, we'll all want to come to the tax forfeited land sale, which is in this room at 10 o'clock in the morning. Deer hunting starts somewhere about that time. On the 9th, at 10 o'clock in the morning, I have a 911 telecommunicators work group meeting, virtual at 2 o'clock. And on Friday, the 12th, at 10 o'clock in the morning, I have a Central Minnesota Emergency Services Board RAC meeting. That should be virtual, I believe. And Mr. Chair, I think that's everything.
Excellent. Is soil and water on the 29th, Randy? At 8 o'clock here?
I don't know, I can't answer that question. It should,
They booked the room.
yeah.
I just didn't know if you wanted me
I
to
haven't,
for you.
what is today? No, I have it the 22nd, so that was why. We have it on the 22nd, this Friday.
Okay, so I will look for that.
Yeah.
Council on Aging, did you have that on yours?
Yeah, we moved that.
On my calendar?
I think that's the third week, ain't it?
4? I think I moved it. Pulled it over to this one from your calendar, showed that it was on the 4th,
4th of,
November.
yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, so will that be in person or
Nope, virtual.
virtual?
So it feels like.
The 10 o'clock time?
Yep.
Okay. And then I have, trails on the 11th.
That would be me again.
Yeah.
I just had trails. I thought trails is the third week, like the 11th. Yeah, is that, did you have, the 11th? Yep, November 11th. I don't have, it'll be at the courthouse, or, City Hall.
Did anything change on the applicant? Only the premier.
Yes, November 10th. Yeah, November 10th is the anticipated schedule for administrative reviews. We don't have the date or the time set yet, but November 10th should be on your calendars for interviews that day. Same day as department head meeting.
I have it on the calendar as the 17th.
Yeah, see, I thought we moved it too.
We had to
Oh,
move
because you moved that 1 week.
We had to move that because we moved, initially Gary Wares was going to be here
week
today.
down.
And then we kicked it out another
Yeah.
week, so we had extra time to go through those.
That was for October 26th.
If you
Yeah,
could,
but
Brad,
then
why
that
don't you,
also- But then that also kicked that other one.
Mr. Chair, why don't you just have him verify it and
Yep.
send it to us?
We'll check with Gary again on that date.
We did have that.
Get it to me.
The Board of Adjustment Planning Commission meeting is on the 3rd. I looked at my email and they sent the notice already, so. And I think Commissioner Jelinski is correct that they couldn't be on the 2nd because it's election
Election
day.
day.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion
Well,
to adjourn if.
I'll second.
Just a
But,
minute.
but we haven't
You can
yet.
speak after we adjourn, unless you want to.
that? Yep.
Okay,
That's fine.
we got a motion and a second to adjourn.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, what would you like?